Hello, and welcome to Medieval Mondays with Riley Nolan voiceovers. To begin this series, we are going to define the medieval period and some events that occurred therein. The medieval age, also known as the Middle Ages, describes the period of time between the fall of the Roman Empire in 476 AD and the beginning of the Renaissance in the 14th century, 1500 AD. It is divided into three periods: early, high, and late Middle Ages. The early medieval period, sometimes called the Dark Age, spanned from about 500 to 1000 AD. It was during this period that agricultural technology improved enough to support the impending boom in Europe's population. In 800 AD, the Frankish king Charlemagne was named the Emperor of all Romans by Pope Leo III, the first since the empire's fall more than 300 years before. It was also during this period that the Vikings discovered Iceland. The High Medieval period lasted from about 1000 to 1250 AD. This period saw the rise of the Catholic Church in Europe. The Crusades, military expeditions organized by the Catholic Church to free the Holy Land, began in 1095 and continued until the end of the 15th century. In approximately 1118 AD, the Knights Templar were formed by Hugh de Payens, though they were dissolved in 1312 by Pope Clement V after the destruction of the last remaining Crusader refuge in the Holy Land. It was also during this time of chivalry that heroic and romantic tales, such as the legend of King Arthur, began to circulate. Finally, we reach the late medieval period. This time was marked by the rise of organized military forces and internal conflict, also known as the Dynastic Wars. An example of this is the 100 Years' War. It was also during this period, between about 1347 to 1350, that the bubonic plague, or Black Death, killed some 20 million people in Europe. That was 30% of the population in Europe. The medieval age came to a close in the 14th century, or 1500 AD, with the start of the Renaissance. Rather than viewing it as a paltry 1,000 or so filler years in a sandwich of importance, this Medieval Monday will come to a close, giving the medieval period the recognition it deserves. It's important that we appreciate the growth, beauty, and hope that it brought. I have been Riley Nolan, and thank you for listening to this episode of Medieval Mondays.